Hello everybody, welcome to another Vital video. As you may know, I need a few filler videos so that I can work on some bigger projects. And today is going to be another smaller video where I'm just going to make a sound from scratch. What we're going to make today is an atmosphere. Now I recently did a tutorial on atmospheres, but I don't actually have any atmospheres yet for the pack that I'm currently working on. So I decided to take some of the things that we learned in that video and apply it to a patch made inside of Vital. So we're just going to start with an initialized patch here. And the very first thing that I want is some atonality. Now I know that there's a few ways of getting that, mainly through the inharmonic stretch over here, or through random amplitudes here. You get these really cool kind of atonal sounds. Of course, the normal saw wave is still going to be there as well. So what we probably want to do is set up some kind of modulation like this. I'm going to set this to the sine interpolate, and I'm going to set it very slow like this. And what we'll also do is use this random over here. We'll set this to the pitch. This is going to control our pitch movement. And then we'll turn on the bandpass that we need for this kind of atmosphere. And you get something like this. Let's make this a little bit slower as well. Let's set this also to sine interpolate. We can add another randomness over here to modulate the filter position. But what might be cooler is to have this on an LFO and to set that LFO to 1/8. Or 8 bars, sorry, not 1/8. So we're just going to go up here. Like so. And this means that the movement is going to work with the movement of the track if you're just writing in sections of 16 bars. So I'm just going to play this in over here. We'll probably need to turn it down a bit in terms of the octave. Okay, I like that. What I also want to do is add it a little bit to the level so that the level increases when it goes up. And I overall want a little bit more filter movement on that. Now we need to start thinking about some of the effects. The main one that I want to try is this formant over here, because that makes it nice and high like this. That might be cool to play with. We can modulate this over here and then this up. Maybe let's go down instead like this. Overall, we're losing a lot of volume. One of the things that I've started to do with all of my presets is make sure that they're velocity controlled like this. And then in this case, the way that we've set it up, we just have to volume balance this. So I'm just going to add a compressor here. Okay, so with that we have it a little bit more volume balanced. The next thing we can do is add our chorus. We're really just going to wash out the sound since we're making an atmosphere here. So this is going to be tempo dotted, and I'm going to set it to ping pong. Maybe we'll set them to 1/4 actually. I do think we want a little bit of reverb to start out with, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up the macro here as well, so that we get extra reverb when we add the delay as well. And the delay is going to be the main part that is going to increase with the ambience macro over here. So we get a little bit like this. But you can hear that with the ambience macro, we get a very nice overall well-rounded out sound. And to be honest, if there's one takeaway from this tutorial is that if you have a sound, if you put a delay and a reverb on it, it's going to be a better sound. There is a few more things that I want to do though. The main thing is I want to assign these two macros over here. So one of the things that I want to try is to duplicate this over this setup that we have. I don't know if I can duplicate over the whole thing in one way. Maybe I can. I'm just going to go in here where there says enter value. I'm just going to paste in here, same over here. I'll just copy over all of the things that are in here in this oscillator. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to use another sign interpolate randomness over here and set it to the same settings as this one and actually move that one over there. So this random 1 is going to become random number 3 here. Meaning that these two randoms are going to generate a different signal. Also, another thing that we should probably do, which I haven't done at this point, is add a little bit of detuning over here. So we're just going to go with like 8 voices on the both of them and set maybe like 5% detuning. This is also going to need the same volume modulation. Which is being controlled by this thing over here. And of course, we do need the same pitch modulation on this one. So this is going to have the same pitch modulation as well. Now we are a little bit louder. So what we'll have to do is turn it down somewhere. Probably through some distortion. You can actually turn it down in here by a certain amount of dB. What I do want to do is I want to try to have this turned off. Yeah, so without the chorus, you get not really that much of a different sound. What I do want to do is I want to have some of the effects that we are using here. So for example, the detuning maybe. Let's have that on the macro as well. Here and here. Of course, we have to use the same value. You can see what I'm doing here is really just experimenting. Knowing what some of the parameters do is helpful. But the main thing that I'm trying to do is just adding different modulations to different macros. And then once it significantly changes the sound, turning the macro up and down, I decide on a name for it. So for example, over here, I would go with something called like squeeze, because it sounds like it's squeezing the sound up. And it's really kind of like a quick descriptive thing that you can put in here to instantly make it so that people understand what it means. Now, of course, some non-native speakers are going to have issues with that, not knowing exactly what it means when you say squeeze, what that actually means in terms of a word. But then in that case, they can just associate the word squeeze with a sound that sounds like this. In this case, for some reason, moving it around, it becomes very glitchy, which is a cool thing. I like that. The final thing that we probably want to do is add a little bit of a comb filter here. So we're going to do that. And we do have one more macro left. So we have the space to actually do some cool stuff with the comb filter. What might be cool is to add another randomness over here as well. I like the sign interpolate mode a little bit more than the Berlin noise, like in the randomness here. So now we don't have any of the comb filter in there. What I like to do is, again, use multiple parameters to achieve an effect when you have a macro. So maybe like this as well. That way, when you're morphing between it, it has a different texture than just turning on and off the dry wet. Now, for those that have been following along with these preset videos, one of the final things that I always end up doing is assigning the mod wheel to something. In this case, what I think I'll do is I'll assign it to the movement of this Editor 1 over here. I think that might be a good option, but I think another option that is even better is maybe the pitch here. So I'm going to try that first. We're just going to set up macros over here, and then we're going to assign this to the pitch there. And all that we have to do is over here, scroll down until we see our modulation assignments, and just set up a window that looks like this for the remap. I went over this in the last video why this works, but essentially what we're saying is for this modulation over here, if the mod wheel is all the way down, use this full modulation range, use the highest point. So multiply this modulation with the highest point, say like a 1. It will apply 48 semitones of modulation, as you can see over here where it says it by the label. But if we start moving this mod wheel around and it's anywhere else other than the lowest value that it can have, it's going to multiply it by 0 because this line is all the way down. So just for one point it is up and all of the other points it is down. And that is just achieved by like moving this to the right all the way. Meaning that you have this kind of binary switch that instantly turns off if you turn up the mod wheel. But the mod wheel itself is also controlling the same parameter that the modulation is on. So that means that the mod wheel just takes over. Some final things that could be cool is to have this in stereo wave over here. So this is going to be like a stereo layer. So the left and the right are going to have different modulations. In this case, we're doing it so that we have kind of like a mono component in the center here and a stereo component as well. This is going to go down a little bit so that the mono component is going to be a little bit louder. I think overall we're getting there in terms of the preset, in terms of what it all needs to do. It feels all very intuitive with all of the macros that we've set up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this. This is going to be an atmosphere, and I'm going to call it infinite atonality. And then the equals the pitch. This is of course very important that you label the mod wheel because this does not have a label like the other ones have over here. And this just makes my preset a little bit easier to use. Overall, I do think that we have a nice preset over here. I'm just going to jam out a little bit more so that you can get an idea for what the preset is going to sound like. When this pack is finally finished and it comes out, I'll obviously have a video for that. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss it. Now let's get into a quick jam session, and that will then be the end of the video. So that's going to be it for today. I hope that you enjoyed the preset and I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you want to support the channel, make sure that you're subscribed and that you continue watching my videos. In fact, there are 2 up on the screen right now for you to choose from. One is my latest tutorial and the other one is recommended to you directly from YouTube. So just pick one and enjoy, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.